All right, so what we're looking at is the dissection of a crab, and we have got some good specimens here. So we're going to go through the external anatomy and then through the internal anatomy. We're going to look at this first area right here. These are going to be our chelipeds, these big claws. What you have here, oops, sorry about that, is you have a movable finger, which is this one right here, the movable finger, and this is the dactyl, and this is known as the propedis. So the cheliped is made up of the dactyl and the propedis. If we continue on and we look at the rest of the claw itself, or the cheliped arm, this next region right here is going to be the carapace, and this is the meris. So we have the cheliped, the carapace, and the meris. All right. Then we have back here a series of walking legs. And you can see that they're slightly different in the way that they're made up, and they don't have the claws or pinchers on them, but they're used for walking. And then back here we actually have our swimming legs, and notice how this last part or this region right here is actually going to be the paddle in which they will use to move in the water column. All right, this particular region, the cephalothorax, has the rostrum right here in the middle, and it's covered by the carapace, which is this shell right here that I'm holding. On the edges, these are the anterolateral teeth, the compound eyes that you can see here, and the first and second antennae. All right. If we flip the crab over, so now viewing the ventral region, we have the maxillipeds, which are these structures right here. We have the abdomen, and this region is known as the apron right here. This is the apron. And then if we move the maxillipeds back or to the side, we're going to view now the mandible, which is this harder structure right here. This particular crab is a female because of the horseshoe-shaped abdomen or apron. And when I pull it back, I can actually see the swimmerets. Remember that the swimmerets, they're used to store the eggs in reproduction. In the middle of the swimmerets is going to be the hindgut, and we're just going to note this now. This would be the hindgut, or the intestines, the end of the intestines, and then this would be the anus. So this is a female, and we can compare it to this organism over here, which is a male. Notice the pointed structure here of the apron as opposed to the rounded horseshoe shape for the female. If we pull the apron back in the male, what we're going to notice is these two structures right here. These are the copulatory structures for the male during reproduction. And the hindgut, or the intestine, is going to run down to the anus right here at the end of the apron, part of the abdomen. So let's look at the inside of the crab now. We're going to remove the carapace and view the internal structures, and we're going to do so on both of them, and we're going to see some things that are easier in one and harder in others, but pointing or going through them. These structures right here are the gills, and they're on both sides. Remember, these are bilaterally symmetrical organisms. This area known right here is the flank. The cream-colored structures that you see on either side, and they kind of run down towards the center here, this is going to be the digestive gland. We call that the hepatopancreas. In this particular crab, the stomach has been removed. So if we look over here, this is the stomach, this structure, this big structure. So let's break down the stomach a little bit more. If we look at the stomach, we can note a couple different things about it, that it is divided up. You have some connective tissue, we're going to get back here. You have the esophagus, which is this tube that leads from the mouth, and it leads to the cardiac stomach, that forestomach. Then you have the gastric mill, which is this area right here. And the gastric mill, as the term mill would mean, to break down in gastro-meaning stomach, it's the part of the stomach that's going to grind things down. So there are those teeth inside we'll look at in just a moment. And this structure right here is the pyloric stomach. So it goes esophagus, cardiac stomach, gastric mill, pyloric stomach, to the midgut, which is running right here. So the midgut attaches to the back side of this right here, and it travels right down here. And as it travels down in this area, it's going to connect down to that apron that we saw earlier, connecting down here to the hindgut, or the end of the intestines. Now, we're going back over to the female here, because the female, you can see the gonads, And what we can also see on this particular structure, even though the heart has been removed, the stomach has been removed, we can see the heart, which is this structure right here. And the heart has two ostia, one right there and one right here, and they're pretty visible. And the ostia allow for the hemolymph to travel throughout the crab or the organism. So this region right here, these are the ovaries, and oftentimes the ovaries will have eggs sitting along the hepatopancreas. And if we look at the male over in this area, because it's a male, it's going to have testes, again located on either side of the heart, although it's missing in the midgut. We have the testes right here, so these are the testes. And then we're going to look at underneath the gills. So when I pull back the gills, actually we have one right here. We can just pull it up. This right here is a gill raker, and there's many of them. They're also epipods. There are other terms used. And then underneath you have more of them, and they're located right down there. So these are the things that you need to know for the crab. Please make sure that you take your time to study it. You have all this connective tissue that lies over this as well.